In the grand velvet expanse of the Orion Cygnus arm, there exists a star system known to its inhabitants as Krilvar, a place of crystalline spires and silent, floating gardens, where the air smells of ozone and distant lavender. Here, the Krillic sovereignty reigned supreme. A species of elegant bipedal beings with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that held the cold light of distant stars. They were mathematicians of war, architects of conquest, believing the universe operated on a simple, brutal calculus. Strength dictated right, and technology dictated strength. For 3 standard centuries, the sovereignty expanded, absorbing system after system. Their fleets, sleek and silent as obsidian daggers, descended upon worlds with clinical precision. Resistance was factored and eliminated. They encountered beings of ferocious strength, of hive-mind intelligence, of psychic fury. All were measured, analyzed, and ultimately, subsumed into the sovereign equation. They believed they had catalogued every possible variable of sentient conflict. Until they encountered variable X. Until they encountered humanity. The Krillics named the campaign operation Culling Tide. The human world, a vibrant blue-green marble they designated Terra Xi, was, by all metrics, a soft target. Primitive fission weapons, rudimentary orbital infrastructure, a chaotic patchwork of political factions. The initial report from Grand Strategist Vkor read, a disorganized, emotionally volatile species. Projected pacification timeframe, 6 solar cycles. Minimal resource expenditure. The first wave was a masterpiece of Krillic's doctrine. Kinetic rods shattered command centers from the stratosphere. EMP pulses drowned their primitive datanets in silence. Within 72 hours, every major human government had fallen, or so the Krillics believed. Their ground forces, clad in personal energy shields and armed with molecular disintegrators, marched to secure population centers. They expected surrender. They expected the broken will they had seen on 100 other worlds. They did not expect Madrid. They did not expect the 10th Brigade of the Spanish Legion, reduced to scavenged rifles and improvised explosives, to hold the Plaza Mayor for 9 days against an entire Krillics battle cohort. They did not expect the chaotic datanets to re-emerge as a decentralized, resilient ghost web, sharing targeting data from 1 billion civilian devices. They did not expect the primitive fission weapons to be deliberately misfired under their advancing shield wall, trading city blocks for battalion-strength casualties. The Krillics equation began to glitch. Variables multiplied. Constants dissolved. And during the brutal street-by-street cleansing of a city called Jakarta, a Krillics infantry officer of the 7th Blade, my unit, was captured. His name was Kalen. This is his diary. Not a report for the sovereignty. Not a tactical log. But the secret, fragmented, and profoundly shaken record of a prisoner of war. The record of the day the galaxy's most efficient predators became. The prey of something they could not comprehend. I am Kalen, 7th Blade of the Krillic sovereignty. I am writing this on processed tree pulp with a carbon-based marking stick. My captors provide it. A curious, inefficient method. My internal biostore is damaged. This physical act focuses the mind. They took me in the Meadowlandstone Canyon they call an urban environment. Our shields were overloaded by sequential low-yield chemical explosions. Not one large strike, but a cascade of tiny, precisely timed ones. A trap. Primitive, yet effective. My disintegrator was stripped from me by a human in a faded civilian coverall. He did not kill me. He looked weary. His eyes, a pale blue, held no triumph. Only a deep, exhausted resolve. He spoke in their guttural tongue, then gestured with his projectile weapon. I was prepared for torture. For interrogation. For the slow harvesting of my genetic material. It is the way of the strong. It is logical. They brought me to a POW camp. The acronym stands for Prisoner of War. The concept is documented in our oldest archives, from before the unification. We considered it a sentimental weakness. An irrational expenditure of resources on a non-productive asset. The camp is not what I expected. It is situated in a valley of startling green. There are structures of timber and fabricated sheeting. Humans in simple uniforms patrol the perimeter. They are armed, but their weapons are rarely raised. I am housed in a communal barracks with 17 other Krillics from shattered units. We are given nutrient paste, a bland, but sufficient amalgam of local proteins and carbohydrates. We are given water. We are given medical treatment for our wounds. The human commandant is a female designated Colonel Ava Vance. She is smaller than the average Krillix, her skin a suntan brown, her hair dark and tied tightly back. She addressed us on our first day. She used a translator device. "You are prisoners of war," she said, her voice calm, flat. "You will be treated in accordance with the Geneva Conventions. You will not be harmed. You will not be interrogated under duress. You will be required to perform light labor for the maintenance of the camp. Attempt escape, harm a guard, or harm another prisoner, and you will be isolated. Comply, and you will see the end of this conflict." We were silent. This was a trick. A psychological tactic. Of course, briefings suggested humans were deceitful, manipulative. This kindness was a prelude to brutality. Fellow prisoner Tvek whispered to me that night, "They are fattening us. For consumption. Or for experimentation. It is the only logic." I am not sure. Colonel Vance's eyes, when she looked at me, they held the same weary resolve as the man who captured me. But beneath it, something else. Something I cannot factor. Rising conflict. The routine is monotonous. Reveille at dawn. A sonic broadcast they call a bugle. We are marched to the mess hall. We work. We repair fences, clear drainage ditches, sort salvage from the nearby ruined town. The humans watch, but their vigilance seems procedural, not passionate. They speak little to us. When they do, it is through the translator, and only for instruction. I have observed the guards. They are not the elite of their species. They are young, old, some with injuries that would have seen them recycled in the sovereignty. They share things. A guard named Jenkins offered a piece of his chocolate ration to a Krillix named Renault who was shivering in the cold rain. Renault, terrified, refused. Jenkins simply shrugged and ate it himself.
No punishment. No reprisal.
Tvek is convinced it is a toxin test. He catalogues every anomaly. The human medic, Doc Ruiz, insists on checking a minor laceration on Tvek's carapace. Tvek is rigid with fear, expecting a neural probe or a parasite implant. Ruiz simply cleans the wound with an antiseptic and applies a sterile dressing. "Keep it dry," he says, and moves on. It is a deeper game, Tvek insists in the dark. They lull us, then they strike. They are studying our psychology to break our will for the sovereign fleet's location. But we are infantry. We know nothing of fleet movements. The humans must know this. Their tactics against our forces show a frightening degree of intelligence gathering. This kindness serves no tactical purpose I can discern. Today, during labor detail, I saw something. A human transport arrived. It was damaged, scorched by energy fire. Wounded humans were unloaded. I saw chaos, but a directed chaos. Their medics worked frantically. I saw a human soldier with a severe thoracic injury. His life fluid was everywhere. A medic knelt in it, applying pressure, shouting for supplies. Another human, a female with a bloodied face, held the wounded one's hand, speaking to him rapidly, softly. He died. The medics stopped. Their shoulders slumped. For a moment, the only sound was the hum of a generator. Then, the female who held his hand closed his eyes. She did not scream. She did not rage. She stood, wiped her face on her sleeve, and walked back to the transport to help unload another casualty. The medics covered the body with a sheet and returned to work. I asked the guard nearest to me, a young one they call Private Finn. Through the translator, I said, "That one is dead. Why do you not recycle the biomatter?" Finn looked at me. His face, usually open, closed. His eyes, a green color, hardened. "He's not biomatter. He's Sergeant Miller." He turned his back on me. The reaction was emotional, illogical, wasteful. Yet the efficiency with which they processed their grief and returned to function was militarily sound. A paradox. An incident. Tvek, driven by paranoia and the need for decisive action, attempted to escape. During a woodcutting detail, he used a sharpened tool to disarm a guard, Private Finn. He held the tool to Finn's throat, demanding a vehicle. The response was swift. Hidden human snipers, Positions I had not even factored. Disabled Tvek with a kinetic projectile to his primary leg joint.
Non lethal.
Precise. He was subdued, screaming about toxins and experiments. Colonel Vance arrived. She looked at Tvek, writhing on the ground, then at Finn, who had a shallow cut on his neck. Her expression was like stone. Tvek was taken to the isolation block. We expected him to be executed, or worse. Later, Colonel Vance assembled all prisoners. Prisoner Tvek has been sentenced to 30 days in solitary confinement for assault and attempted escape. His rations will be reduced. He will receive no recreational time. This is the consequence. She paused, her gaze sweeping over us. Private Finn required 3 sutures. He has returned to duty. The rules are clear. Follow them. That was all.
No torture.
No public execution to instill fear. Just consequence. A stated, predictable outcome for an action. I visited Finn at the perimeter fence the next day. He was on duty. I asked, through the fence and the translator, why is he not dead? He injured you. He is a liability. Finn touched the bandage on his neck. He was quiet for a long time. Look, he said, his voice low. I'm pissed at him. He's a dumbass, and he cut me. But the colonel's right. We're not you. We have rules. Even for him. He looked at me, and that hard look was back, but mixed with something else. You guys think that's weakness, don't you? I did not answer. He snorted. Yeah. Thought so. The sovereign calculus. Enemy asset becomes threat. Threat is eliminated. Resources preserved. Fear instilled. Efficiency, 100%. The human calculus. Enemy asset breaks rule. Asset is isolated. Rule is reaffirmed. Guard is healed. A message is sent. Your actions have predictable consequences, even here. The asset remains a resource, labor, potential intelligence, a future bargaining chip. The moral framework remains intact. It is inefficient. And yet, it is a different kind of strength. A strength of structure. Of willful self-restraint. It is confusing. Tvek was released from isolation. He is thinner, quieter. He expected to be broken, mind scrambled. He is merely tired. Doc Ruiz checked him over. Tvek did not resist. A new element. Human children. The camp is near a refugee settlement. Sometimes, the wind carries the sound of their play, shrill, undulating bursts of noise. Today, a group of them approached the perimeter fence. They were small, fragile-looking. They stared at us with unabashed curiosity. One of them, a young male, pointed at me and said something. The guard on duty, an older human named Sergeant Morrow, shooed them away gently. Go on, kids. Not a zoo. But one child, a female, lingered. She had a small, flat object. She held it up to the fence. On it was a crude drawing. A stick figure human with a rifle, and a taller black stick figure with large eyes. They were holding hands. Above it, in wobbly glyphs, it said P.S. She pushed the drawing through the fence and ran away. I stood, holding the processed pulp. The drawing was technically poor, conceptually naive. Yet, it was a transmission. A deliberate, unsanctioned communication of a concept so alien to the sovereignty it might as well be magic, peace. With the enemy. From a child. Sergeant Morrow walked over. He looked at the drawing in my hand. He sighed, a long, slow exhalation. Kids, he said, his voice thick with an emotion I couldn't place. They don't know the script yet. He didn't take the drawing. He just walked back to his post. I have placed the drawing between the pages of this diary. I analyze it when my thoughts spiral. This script Morrow spoke of. I am beginning to suspect the humans are following one entirely unknown to us. And we, the Krillix, are actors who have wandered onto their stage, speaking the wrong lines, bewildered by the plot. Human response. Entry 102. The war is turning. We hear it in the distant, thunderous booms that are not thunder. We see it in the increasing frequency of damaged human vehicles coming through, and the grim, determined smiles on the guards' faces. The human ghost net, their resilient communication system, must be spreading news. Our guards sometimes speak of pushing them back off the continent, of allies in the Pacific. Today, the camp was attacked. Not by humans. By a sovereign cleanse squad. 3 atmospheric skimmers, black and silent. They had tracked the energy signature of one of our damaged biostores to this location. Their orders: deny the enemy any intelligence. Sterilize the area. The first we knew was the scream of tearing metal as the first skimmer vaporized the watchtower at the north perimeter. Sergeant Morrow was in it. One moment he was there, the next, a cloud of incandescent particles. Alarms shrieked. Human guards scrambled. But they did not flee. They ran toward the barracks. Toward us. Private Finn kicked open our barracks door, his face white with fear, but his voice a roar. Out. Now. To the bunkers. He was not pointing his weapon at us. He was gesturing frantically. Chaos. Energy bolts scorched the earth, cooking the air with the smell of ozone and burnt soil. A direct hit on the mess hall sent a fireball into the sky. Colonel Vance was in the center of the compound, a pistol in one hand, the other directing humans and Krillix alike. Movement. Get to cover. Do not return fire. You are non-combatants. She was shouting at us. At the prisoners. Tvek froze, paralyzed by the sight of the Sovereign's wrath. A skimmer turned, its chin-mounted disintegrator powering up, targeting our clustered group. I calculated the trajectory. We were all within the blast radius. This was the end. The logic of the sovereignty, pure and clean. We had failed. We were liabilities. We were to be erased. Then, a roar. Not of a disintegrator, but of a primitive chemical rocket engine. A human ground vehicle, a jeep, mounted with a crude projectile launcher, swerved into the path of the skimmer. It was Doc Ruiz, the medic. His face was a mask of fury. He fired. The rocket was slow. The skimmer could have evaded. But its pilot, focused on the high-value cluster of Krillix life signs, ignored the trivial threat. The rocket struck the skimmer's port intake. It didn't explode. It burrowed, and then a secondary chemical explosion ruptured the engine housing. The skimmer listed, spewing plasma, and crashed into the forest beyond the fence in a ball of fire. The other 2 skimmers, their tactical assessment suddenly altered by the loss of 1 unit, broke off. They strafed the compound once more, then climbed for orbit, leaving behind silence, smoke, and the cries of the wounded. I was on the ground. Finn had tackled me. He was lying on top of me, his body shielding mine from shrapnel. He got up, coughing, and offered me a hand.
You okay?
I could not speak. I took his hand. He pulled me up. The scene was devastation. The watchtower gone. The mess hall burning. Human and Krillix prisoners alike were wounded, dazed. And then, the humans did the impossible. They triaged. Doc Ruiz, his hands burned from the rocket launcher, began treating the wounded. All the wounded. He went to a human guard with a leg severed at the knee, applied a tourniquet, and moved on. His next patient was Knoll, who had taken shrapnel in his secondary arm. Ruiz treated him with the same focused urgency. Colonel Vance, her uniform smeared with soot, was coordinating. Get the fire suppressed. Medic to Bunker B. Jenkins, secure the perimeter, they might come back. She saw me standing with Finn. Her eyes.
Met mine.
Prisoner Kalen. Account for your barracks. Report any missing to Private Finn. She gave me an order. In the middle of this catastrophe, she integrated me into her chain of command. Not as a prisoner. As a resource. A responsible entity. We accounted for all Krillix. 3 were dead, vaporized in the open. Tvek was huddled in a bunker, uninjured but catatonic. As the sun set, the humans gathered their dead. 2 guards. Sergeant Morrow and another. They laid them out, covered them. They did not recycle. They stood in silence for a moment. A few wept, openly, unashamed. Then, they went back to work. They set up emergency shelters. They shared their reduced rations with us. They treated our wounded alongside their own. That night, sitting in a makeshift bunker with Finn on guard, I finally spoke. Your medic. He destroyed a sovereign skimmer. To save us. Finn nodded, staring into the dark. Doc's a healer.
Hate seeing anything die.
Even you lot. He sacrificed tactical advantage. He revealed a defensive weapon. He risked his life for liabilities. Finn turned to me. In the dim light, his young face looked ancient. That's where you're wrong, Kalen. You're not liabilities. You're people. And we don't let people get slaughtered if we can help it. It's the whole damn point. The point of what? Of this, he said, gesturing vaguely at the camp, at the planet, at everything. Of being us. It's messy. It's stupid. It gets guys like Morrow killed. But it's the only thing that makes the mess worth it. For the first time, I felt a chilling comprehension. This wasn't a tactic. This wasn't a strategy. This was their nature. Their insane, irrational, magnificent nature. To fight with one hand and heal with the other. To hate the sin and stubbornly, defiantly, try to save the sinner. To value a concept, the sanctity of a life, even an enemy life, above tactical purity. Doc Ruiz didn't save us to use us. He saved us because to him, watching sentient beings die when he could act was an intolerable offense against his own soul. It was the deepest, most illogical strength I had ever witnessed. The sovereign equation shattered in my mind. You cannot factor a variable that operates on a different set of axioms entirely. Climax. The Cleanse Squad attack changed everything. The fragile, formal barrier between captor and captive eroded. We worked side by side to rebuild. We shared tools. We shared glances. Sometimes, we even shared silence that wasn't hostile. I have been teaching Private Finn basic Krillic script. He is fascinated by its mathematical elegance. In return, he tries to teach me his language, English, without the translator. It is infuriatingly irregular. He laughs at my mistakes. The sound is not unpleasant. Today, Colonel Vance summoned me. Not to the command hut, but to her personal quarters. A small, sparse room. She had 2 cups of a hot, bitter liquid she calls coffee. She offered me one.
Sit, Kalen.
I did. She studied me for a long moment. The war is ending, she said bluntly. Your fleet is in retreat. Your command structure is fracturing. A Krillic sovereign emissary has made contact with our unified Earth command. They are discussing terms. My biosynthetic heart pulsed. Defeat. The sovereignty, defeated. By these chaotic emotional rule-following primitives. It was impossible. And yet, I had seen the evidence for solar cycles. What are the terms? I asked. Surrender. Disarmament. Repatriation of prisoners. She sipped her coffee. You'll be going home, Kalen. Home. To a sovereignty that had sent a cleanse squad to burn me to ash. To a culture that would now see me as contaminated, a failure, a living testament to their miscalculation. You are quiet, she observed. I am calculating my future, I said honestly. You're worried, she said, translating my euphemism. You think they'll punish you. For being captured. For living. I remained silent. It was not a question. She put her cup down. When you go back, Kalen, they will debrief you. They will ask you about our defenses, our tactics, our technology. Tell them. Show them every schematic you've memorized. It won't matter. I looked up, startled.
Why?
A faint, grim smile touched her lips. Because you still don't get it. You're looking for the secret weapon. The hidden fleet. The super technology. That's what your sovereignty understands. She leaned forward, her weary, resolved eyes holding mine. The weapon isn't a thing, Kalen. It's an idea. It's the idea that a farmer in Iowa will pick up a hunting rifle to defend his neighbor's silo. It's the idea that a programmer in Tokyo will spend 72 hours without sleep to crack your encryption, not for glory, but because someone has to. It's the idea that a medic will charge a starship with a rocket launcher to save prisoners. It's the idea that we wrote rules for how to treat the very people trying to kill us, and we follow them, even when it's hard. Even when it gets us killed. She paused, letting the words hang. You can bomb our cities. You can shatter our governments. But you cannot bomb an idea. You cannot disintegrate a principle. It just spreads. To every refugee, every soldier, Every child drawing a peace sign. You beat the nation. You will never beat the people. And as long as one of us remembers what that means, you lose. Every single time. I felt a tremor run through me. In that moment, I saw the galaxy from her perspective. Not as a chessboard of resources and forces, but as a tapestry of stories, of choices, of stubborn, defiant acts of kindness and courage that somehow, impossibly, added up to a power greater than any fleet. The Krilliks saw life as a physics problem. Humans saw it as a story they were determined to shape, with themselves as the flawed, persistent heroes. Why tell me this? I asked, my voice barely audible. Because when you go back, she said softly, you will be more than a prisoner. You will be a witness. You have seen the idea. You have lived it. You can tell them what they're really up against. Maybe some of you will start to understand. Or maybe you won't. But the offer will always stand. The rules will always apply. To you. She dismissed me. I walked back to the barracks in a daze. The green of the valley seemed sharper. The sounds of human activity, the clang of a hammer, the burst of laughter from the guards' quarters, were no longer the noises of the enemy. They were the sounds of a culture that was, in its own mad way, unconquerable. Tvek was waiting for me. He saw my face. What did she say? What is to be our fate? I looked at him, at R'nol, at the others who had gathered. We are to be repatriated. The war is over. The sovereignty has lost. Silence. Then not cries of despair, but a slow exhalation of relief. And Tvek pressed. And, I said, choosing my words with a care I had never used before, we have a duty to report. Not just on their tactics, but on their nature. We must make the sovereignty understand what they faced. They will not listen, R'nol said quietly. Then we will have to find a way to make them listen, I said. And for the first time since my capture, I felt a purpose that was not dictated by sovereign calculus. I was a witness. I had a story to tell. Resolution. The transport arrived today. A human dropship, emblazoned with the blue and white symbol of their united Earth. Alongside it, under a flag of temporary truce, a Krilliks recovery vessel, a sleek gray orb. It hovered like a specter of my old life. The exchange was formal, conducted in the no-man's land between the camp gate and the waiting ships. Human and Krilliks officers stood stiffly, exchanging data slates. We prisoners were lined up. We had been given back our uniforms, cleaned and repaired. They felt alien on my skin. One by one, our names were called. We walked from the human line to the Krilliks line. R'nol went. He glanced back at Doc Ruiz, who gave a short, sharp nod. A farewell between healer and patient. Tvek went. He walked stiffly, not looking back, his mind already constructing the narrative of his survival for sovereign interrogators. My name was called. Kalen, 7th Blade. I took a step. Then another. I passed Colonel Vance. I stopped. I turned to her. I had no words in either language that felt sufficient. She looked at me, her colonel's mask in place. But in her eyes, I saw that weary, enduring resolve, and something more, a faint, fragile hope. Remember the script, Kalen, she said softly, in English. I had learned enough. I understood. I placed my fist over my primary heart, the Krilliks gesture of utmost respect. Then slowly, I offered a human salute. She returned it, crisp and perfect. I turned and walked to the Krilliks vessel. The ramp closed behind us with a final, hydraulic hiss. The interior was familiar. Cool air, soft light, the hum of familiar technology. Sovereign officers in immaculate black looked us over with critical, cold eyes. We were data points again. Compromised data points. The vessel lifted off. Through a viewport, I saw the camp shrink, a tiny scar of order in the vast green of the human world. I saw the small figures of the guards, already turning back to their duties. I saw the flag flying over the command hut, not a flag of conquest, but of a stubborn, agreed-upon set of rules. The officer in charge, a sub-strategist, addressed us. You will be debriefed. You will be cleansed of any psychological contamination. You will be reassigned. The failure of Operation Culling Tide is being analyzed. Your experiences will contribute to the new models. The others bowed their heads. I looked out the viewport as the planet curved away, a beautiful, defiant blue marble. Psychological contamination. New models. They would try to factor it. They would try to fit humanity into their equations. They would look for the secret weapon in the wrong places. I touched the pocket of my uniform. Inside, folded carefully, was the child's drawing. The stick figure human and the stick figure Krillix. Holding hands. Peas. I am Kharuun, seventh blade of the Krillix sovereignty. I am a prisoner of war who was never tortured, never experimented upon, but was shown a strength that redefined the word. I was saved by a medic who hated death. I was shielded from my own people's fire by a young soldier who believed I was a person. I was given a cup of bitter liquid and a lesson in unconquerable ideas by a commander who saw a witness, not an asset. This diary is my secret. My contamination. My truth. They can debrief my mind. They can scan my memories. But they cannot erase the story. They cannot unwrite what I have seen. The ship jumps to warp. The star system shrinks to a point of light, then vanishes. My comrades sit in silent dread of the welcome that awaits them. I feel no dread. I feel a responsibility. For I have seen the fire in the human soul. Not a fire of pure conquest, but a forge fire, one that tempers mercy with resolve, that bonds compassion to courage, that turns the raw chaotic ore of emotion into an unbreakable alloy of will. They are not perfect. They are messy, emotional, irrational. And that is the source of their power. The Krillix sought a universe of clean, silent efficiency. Humans bring with them the noise, the struggle, the heartbreaking, glorious mess of life itself. And they will defend that mess with a ferocity that no pure logic can ever match. And for the first time, as the stars streak past the viewport, I understand. I, the captured, the measured, the analyzed, have finally taken the measure of my captors. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human. The diary ends there. Historical records show the Krillix sovereignty signed the Treaty of Luna 6 solar cycles later. The terms were harsh, but not vengeful. Reparations were made in data, not in territory. Cultural exchange programs, initially tense, were established. Kharuun's fate is unknown. Some legends say he became a reformer within the sovereignty, a voice for a new way. Others say he vanished into the fringe worlds, his diary copied and spread, a quiet gospel of a different kind of strength. The camp in the Green Valley was dismantled. Seeds were planted where the fences stood. Today, if you visit that valley on Terra, you will find a simple stone monument. It bears no grand declarations. It lists only two things: the names of the human guards who died there, and the names of the Krillix prisoners who died there. And beneath the names, in both languages, it reads: In va, captives. In death, equality. In memory, a hope for peace. It is a human monument. Illogical. Sentimental. And in its quiet, stubborn way, the most powerful weapon of all.